So sometimes, say, I'm just asking a provocative question for the sake of carrying the conversation forward. So you've been thinking about a friend, and for various reasons, you've been unable to meet her or him for a long time, and suddenly you go shopping or some such thing, somewhere you go out, and you bump into them, and it's been like, oh, this is like a crazy coincidence. Maybe they are not in the same city or same province or some such thing, and it's like one of those one in a million chances that something like this would happen. So when it happens, has it ever crossed your mind what makes such things occur, or why did this happen, or it doesn't matter, and or what are coincidences about? So not sorry.
So go on.
So I want to specify this is not so much about the question, but I'm giving you a realm of questions. Questions like these. So when you are in this zone, how do you view life, and what are the questions that cross your mind?
In this exact coincidence, I would just view it as a coincidence. I wouldn't really think of it as anything else. But for other questions, they don't really cross my mind as such. I mean, I do. It's only with if I know where you're coming from, but I can't really think of questions that I would ask myself what I would during the situation, because I would either be doing something that would not make me think of it, or I generally just brush it off as a coincidence.
Okay. Okay, I'll try and bring it to a more scientific level of exploration in terms of questioning. Now, there is one part of me when I'm listening to you. It says, "Oh, you're a good child. You listen to your parents, and you're happy with what is being told to you most of the time." Uh, but there are times I remember, even within this gamut of acceptance from every sphere, that your mother is saying this, your dad is saying this, your school is saying this. Um, is there a point where you question whether just following all of this is enough? Is there any questioning which is more deeper in concern, that okay, this is Ria's way of looking at things, which is very unique, may not agree with some, but it's there. So anything like that happens at any point of time about anything at all?
So shall I include examples?
Yeah.
Well, I can't really think of anything, because if I do have a different way of doing things, and if I do generally think it's better, I would rather talk to the person about it, rather than just proceed on with it. Because if they also think that it's a better way of doing something, then that's a good thing for both of us. And sometimes if I'm with Mama in the car, she'll say, "Oh, maybe we should go this way." But then, obviously, since I'm not driving the car, I would have to tell her. And yeah, so in some situations, I would have to tell the person, because I don't have I can't do it myself, so I have to tell the person. Whereas in other situations, I could do it myself. But looking on this situation where I can't do it, where I can't act on the different idea myself, if Mama is saying, I think we should take this route because this route isn't a route we normally take. I could say, no, when I actually came on the bus this morning, when I came on the bus from school, we couldn't take that route because it was blocked off due to a road accident or something. So I would have to tell her, and she maybe just checking. She normally does like say, okay, then we'll go a different way. But in case like she's a bit skeptical, she'll check maybe like Google or like her navigation app, and it'll say, yeah, there has if it's updated, so it'll say, yeah, there has been a road accident here. It's better to take a different route.
Okay. So I want to make a point and then ask you a question. So are you saying, the first part, the point that I'm making, are you saying that acceptance of the reality of things can include having a question but going not getting overwhelmed by the question itself. Is that what you're saying? I'm talking now so far, whatever we've talked. Your approach is that I may have a question, but there is a practical way to resolve it rather than getting uh, too bombastic,
Yeah.
going out and getting whatever one wants. It's better to figure out a way to get to the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the first part. The second part I wanted to, what I was going to ask you was this, I was trying to ask you was, like when you told Mama, for example, that this is a possibility that we might get traffic jam on this route, and she still cross-checked, for example, right? So now that is a question in the mind, whether the information that you're giving should be taken at face value or it should be questioned. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, there is information about the route that you are giving her. Okay, she takes the information but does not take it at face value. She wants to check it again.
Yeah.
Now that is questioning the statement.
Yeah.
So that is what I meant by the earlier question, that whenever on a even in a practical manner, when things happen like these, where you are told, okay, this is the subject, this is the kind of haircut that everybody is having, or this is the kind of t-shirt that is in vogue, this is how you got to walk, this is how you got to talk, or whatever. So there is a statement of intent coming to us from someone, that you have to behave or you have to be in a certain manner. So my question to you is, do you question it at all, or there is no question at all and you just quietly accept it? And if you do, then why do you accept it? What makes you so sure that the information coming to you is absolutely right?
So I do accept it because if I when I could be, because there is still a small percent that I could be wrong, because maybe it was when we went there yesterday, it was a small accident or something, and now the next day when mummy is driving with me, well, she's driving, when the next day the accident has been cleared up and it's all like we're okay to drive on the road now. So there's still a possibility of that, I would think to myself. That's why I wouldn't really question her looking or double checking.
Okay, so then I want to ask you a counter question on that. Does that reflect that um that um there is no sense of rebellion at all about a certain mindset? And if it is not, why is it not? Or do you not agree with this statement?
Could you go further on the question?
The question is simple. When things are told to us, there are enough number of people in the world in your age group who start rebelling at things. When
Yeah.
we were growing up, there was a phrase, rebel without a cause and rebel without a pause.
Yeah.
So we used to get into that mindset, and some days you were fighting, one didn't even know for what.
Yeah.
That is one way of looking at things. The other way of looking at things is the way you are looking at things, very calculated, very sane, rational way of approaching it and figuring out what is the best way to reach the solution rather than bothering about what is the question. So my point is, does the because rebellion by itself may be wrong necessarily if it is just without a cause, but sometimes there is just cause. So you may be right.
Yeah.
Your friends are getting together and you guys are thinking of discussing some important things that are important to all of you. Okay. And your parents, for some reason, on that day do not allow you to get together with them. Whereas you are looking forward to that kind of discussion, which may be which may be very small for somebody else,
Yeah.
but it is very important to you. So how would you deal with something like that?
So are you asking how I feel about my parents not allowing me to go?
Yeah, I would want you to understand that. where the question is coming from rather than the example itself, because these are hypothetical examples. This may not happen.
Oh, okay. So is the question what I would do in a situation which may inflict on me, like which the outcome or the outcome would, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and you
So
don't like the outcome. You would want it to be otherwise.
okay.
How do you
So
deal with it, and how do you question things, or how do you make it happen?
how do I make what the outcome I want happen?
Yeah.
Okay. Then maybe it's, so if I can use that example, it was maybe something I could explain to my parents that maybe, especially during coronavirus, I haven't met my friends in a long time, and if the rules have eased a bit or something, I could try and explain to them my point further on, after they've said no, that I haven't met them in a really long time and I do really miss them, and I could just say it like that. So what I'm saying is that I could, if I really wanted to have my outcome happen, then I would try to explain it nicely, but I would not make it just happen. I would ask them for permission for it happening. If they say no, I would explain to them why I think it should happen, why I think it should happen. And then if they still say no, then I kind of just accept it, because I wouldn't want to have any huge arguments or anything. Because I would get maybe a little bit upset if it's something like meeting my friends. But for most other things, then I wouldn't really, because most of the time my parents always allow me to meet my friends, but that's not really, that I can't really include that example, because it could be different to another example. But yeah, I would just, unless I really wanted my outcome to happen, I would just explain nicely why I think it should happen.
Okay. Um, I now want to take this conversation a little more global from what we've been discussing so far. So I will now talk about something. Say, for example, when uh, scientifically we got to know it was the Earth that was moving around the Sun, and not the other way around. For many, many thousands of years, people were thinking that it is the other way around. It is the Sun that is moving around the Earth, and we are the center of the universe, kind of thought, a center
Yeah.
of the solar system, for example. Um, my question to you is, in terms of understanding concepts, how important is questioning? Because unless Galileo had questioned, although he was killed for that question, that no, the entire society is wrong, and his understanding of the truth was better. Now, my question to you is, how important do you think is questioning itself? The aspect of uh, struggling with a question so that you come to an answer of your understanding, you arrive at your truth.
So if I am told something, if I can use your example about the sun, um, about the Earth rotating around the sun, um, that way, if it's something just like, once I've understood the concept of science, once I've understood that science is the how things happen, which is how sometimes, yeah, it is how things happen, or what's behind something happening, then I would accept that. If I didn't understand the concept or the meaning of science, of the word science by itself, then I would question it. And what I would do before, like as I said before, I would ask people why. I'll tell people that this is why I think this is happening. Then they can tell me that this is why they think it is happening, and then I'd understand it, or I'd understand their point of view, and hopefully they'd understand why mine, but they'd also understand mine is wrong. But sorry, my point of view. So in this situation, my point of view is that the sun is moving around the earth, and the earth is the center of the universe. Whereas theirs, which is the correct one, is the sun is the center, and the earth is moving around it. So you think, so I would rather understand eventually their point of view and agree with it rather than mine, because I wouldn't want to be stuck with my one having the wrong point of view.
So my question is, why do you approach things with thinking that you might be wrong? What if you were right?
Sorry, could you explain that?
A couple of times in this conversation, you've actually landed up saying that you do hold the possibility that I may be wrong, so you are patient with the outcome. Now, does it always have to be that you might be wrong? You might actually be right, and the other person might be wrong. So in that case, you would be letting go of an opportunity to educate somebody else.
I guess I would be, but then I wouldn't really want to be. I mean, I would maybe, because if I explain it to them, what I'm telling them would stick with them. Would like they would try to, once we leave or once we just stop this conversation, they'll try to do research about this or something. I mean, only if it's something big which would matter, which would make them do research. Whereas if it's something small, like I can't really think of an example, but if it's something more smaller, then I don't think it would really matter if it would. I mean, it wouldn't really matter. Yeah, it wouldn't really matter if we knew what the correct answer was, even if I was right, because if it's something so small and it wouldn't change us or the way we live, then I think that I wouldn't really want to start any arguments as such.
Okay, so I'll try and think about